I wanted to go to Olympics, if I'll be honest, but I never really had like a privileged background, and I feel like to turn professional was kind of the best option.
From the moment Moses Itauma first stepped into a professional ring, the boxing world sensed something special. He was young, confident, and moved with a speed that seemed to belong to a lighter weight class. Each punch carried intent. Each performance revealed a new layer of talent. Yet every rising star must face a moment that defines whether promise becomes greatness. And for Itauma, that test would come against one of the most seasoned warriors in modern heavyweight boxing, Joseph Parker. Born in Chatham, Kent, Moses Itauma grew up surrounded by the sport. His passion for boxing ignited early, and his natural gifts made him stand out long before his professional debut. As a teenager, he dominated youth competitions, collecting national titles and dazzling trainers with his timing and composure. Unlike many young prospects, Itauma possessed not only raw power, but also calm intelligence in the ring. He never rushed his attacks. He studied, analyzed, and dismantled his opponents piece by piece. When he turned professional, expectations were sky high. Yet even those who believed in him were stunned by how quickly he adapted to the pro game. His footwork was sharp, his hand speed frightening, and his ability to read distance beyond his years. Within months, he had moved from being a promising debutant to one of the most talked about prospects in the entire heavyweight division. In one of his first major tests, Itauma faced Dempsey McKean, a tall, experienced fighter with respectable credentials. For many rising boxers, such an opponent might have been a learning experience. For Itauma, it became another stage to showcase his destructive talent. The fight lasted less than 3 minutes. From the opening bell, Itauma's rhythm was electric. His jabs snapped through McKean's guard. His combinations landed with precision. Then came a thunderous left-right sequence that sent McKean crashing to the canvas. The crowd gasped. The contest was over before it had truly begun. That victory cemented Itauma's reputation as more than just a promising fighter. He was now seen as a genuine threat, a young powerhouse capable of ending fights at any moment. Analysts compared his explosive style to the early days of Mike Tyson. But beyond the knockouts, Itauma showed something equally important: control. He never seemed reckless, even in attack. His eyes stayed calm, his breathing steady. After a string of quick finishes, Itauma met Kostiantin Dovbychenko, a veteran known for toughness and durability. Many believed this would be the first opponent capable of taking Itauma into the later rounds. Indeed, the fight tested his patience. Dovbychenko refused to crumble. He absorbed punches, countered, and forced Itauma to think. Rather than chasing the knockout, the young Briton displayed discipline. He maintained range, moved with rhythm, and picked his moments carefully. Each jab was measured, each body shot calculated. When he finally landed a clean uppercut, followed by a right hook to the ribs, Dovbychenko staggered. Yet even then, Itauma did not rush. He respected the veteran's resilience and continued boxing smart. When the final bell rang, Itauma had delivered a masterclass in controlled aggression. Observers praised not only his power, but his ability to stay composed, rare qualities for someone so young. Next came Ilya Mazin, an undefeated Kazakh fighter with a reputation for grit and technical skill. Many thought his toughness would expose any flaws in Itauma's armor. Instead, it revealed just how well-rounded the young Brit had become. From the opening moments, Itauma's jab dictated the pace. His head movement was slick, his feet light. When Mazin tried to close distance, Itauma met him with sharp counters that stopped him cold. The final sequence was pure precision, a fast combination to the body, followed by a crushing left hand upstairs. Mazin fell hard and could not continue. By now, Itauma's highlight reels were spreading across social media. Fans marveled at his speed and balance. Commentators called him the future of heavyweight boxing. Each fight seemed easier than the last. But experienced voices in the sport warned that true greatness is not built on quick knockouts alone. Every champion must endure adversity, must prove they can adapt, survive, and rise when the plan breaks down. That kind of test was still ahead. To understand the magnitude of Itauma's upcoming challenge, one must understand Joseph Parker. The New Zealand-born fighter had already lived the highs and lows of heavyweight boxing. Years before Itauma turned professional, Parker had fought his way through the ranks, earning the WBO world title after a hard-fought victory over Andy Ruiz Jr. At that time, Parker became a national hero. The first heavyweight world champion from New Zealand, his style combined speed, composure, and technical balance. He could brawl when necessary, but his preference was intelligence, outthinking rather than overpowering. Parker's championship reign brought him global recognition, but also the pressure that comes with facing elite names. His battles with Anthony Joshua and Dillian Whyte showcased both his skill and his courage. Though he lost on points, he earned respect for his resilience. Against Joshua, he went 12 rounds without ever appearing hurt. Against Whyte, he was dropped but fought back fiercely in the closing moments. Parker had proven himself a survivor among giants. Every great fighter faces crossroads, and Parker was no different. Following those setbacks, some critics claimed his best days were behind him. Yet Parker refused to fade. He switched trainers, joining forces with the experienced Andy Lee, and rededicated himself to improvement. The change revived his career. He sharpened his combinations, regained confidence, and rediscovered the hunger that once made him a champion. His resurgence became clear in victories over Derek Chisora, Deontay Wilder, and Martin Bakole. Against Wilder, one of the sport's hardest punchers, Parker produced one of the most disciplined performances of his life. Using slick head movement and clever counterpunching, he avoided the American's power shots and steadily built momentum. When the final bell rang, there was no doubt Parker had outboxed the former world champion. That night reignited his status as a top contender. Now, with the heavyweight division once again buzzing with excitement, from Tyson Fury to Alexander Usyk, Parker found himself on the brink of another world title run. But standing in his path was a 19-year-old phenomenon with frightening speed and confidence: Moses Itauma. The matchup was more than just a generational clash. It symbolized the eternal cycle of boxing. The seasoned veteran defending his legacy against the fearless newcomer hungry for glory. For Parker, it was a chance to remind the world that experience still matters. For Itauma, it was an opportunity to announce that the future had arrived. Though Parker's resume dwarfed Itauma's, many insiders believed the fight was more dangerous for him. Facing a young, explosive southpaw can be a nightmare, even for experienced boxers. Itauma's quick reflexes, heavy hands, and unpredictable angles made him difficult to prepare for. His stance allowed him to slip jabs and fire back counters in the blink of an eye. For Parker, timing would be everything. He needed to control distance, frustrate the youngster, and drag him into deeper waters. On the other hand, Itauma would be facing something he had never encountered before: a fighter who could think faster than he could punch. Parker's composure and ring IQ were unmatched among Itauma's previous opponents. For the first time, the young Brit might have to go beyond power, to rely on patience, defense, and mental endurance. As fight night approached, anticipation reached fever pitch. Analysts debated endlessly. Would Itauma's speed and aggression overwhelm the older man, or would Parker's experience neutralize the storm? The build-up featured highlights of Itauma's knockouts and Parker's greatest victories. Every boxing show, every podcast, seemed to ask the same question: is Moses Itauma ready for a man like Joseph Parker? Training footage offered glimpses into their preparations. Itauma, ever composed, sparred relentlessly, focusing on stamina and body punching. Parker, smiling as always, worked on movement and countering southpaw attacks. Both camps knew the stakes. A win for Itauma could launch him directly into title contention. A win for Parker would prove that his resurgence was no fluke, that he remained one of the best heavyweights in the world. On paper, the fight promised a fascinating clash of styles. Itauma's best chance lay in his youth and explosiveness. He would need to start fast, use his jab to close the gap, and force Parker to exchange early. If he could land clean combinations before Parker settled into rhythm, he might achieve another quick finish. Parker, however, had no intention of playing to the young man's strengths. His goal would be to slow the tempo, jab from range, and counter when Itauma overcommitted. The longer the fight went, the more it would favor him. Parker's experience in 12-round wars meant he could remain calm even when hurt, while Itauma had rarely seen the fifth round. Conditioning, pacing, and patience could be his greatest weapons. For Itauma, the pressure was immense. At just 19, he carried comparisons to legends. Media headlines labeled him the next Tyson, and fans expected nothing less than dominance. Yet Itauma appeared unaffected. Interviews showed a humble, focused athlete who respected Parker's achievements. "He's been where I want to go," Itauma said in one press conference. "I'm not here to talk. I'm here to prove I belong." Parker, too, showed nothing but professionalism. He praised Itauma's talent, but reminded reporters that talent alone doesn't win wars. "He's young and dangerous," Parker said, "but I've been in with the very best. Let's see how he handles someone who won't fall over." As the lights dimmed on fight night and the arena filled with chants, the atmosphere was electric. Two men stood on opposite ends of their careers, one just beginning, the other fighting to stay at the top. The bell rang, and history began to unfold. Itauma came out aggressively, snapping his jab and moving his head. His footwork was sharp, his combinations crisp. But Parker was unmoved. He circled calmly, blocking and countering with precision. The first few rounds became a battle of tempo. Itauma pressing, Parker managing distance. Occasionally, the young Brit found success with a quick left to the body, but Parker's defense absorbed most of the damage. By the middle rounds, the pace slowed. Parker began landing clean right hands as Itauma lunged forward. The veteran's experience showed. He knew when to clinch, when to pivot, when to make the youngster miss.
Regional titles.
Itauma's breathing grew heavier, but his spirit remained unbroken. He continued throwing, continued believing. In the later rounds, the crowd sensed the fight hanging in balance. Itauma's youth versus Parker's wisdom, raw energy against seasoned strategy. Each exchange drew roars. When the final bell sounded, both men raised their hands, knowing they had shared something special. A bridge between eras. Whether the judges favored Parker's precision or Itauma's aggression mattered less than what the fight represented. For Parker, it was proof that he remained world-class, that even after years at the top, he could still adapt and conquer. For Itauma, it was a coming-of-age moment. Win or lose, he had finally experienced the deep waters that every champion must learn to navigate. The fight revealed that beneath his power and confidence was a mind willing to learn and a heart willing to fight. Boxing thrives on contrasts, youth against experience, speed against patience, hunger against history. The Itauma-Parker clash embodied all of these. It was not just a contest of fists, but of philosophies. The restless energy of a new generation colliding with the wisdom of one that refuses to fade. If Itauma prevailed, the victory would position him as one of the youngest fighters ever to defeat a former world champion, accelerating his march toward the elite. If Parker triumphed, it would affirm the timeless truth that experience still reigns supreme, that patience and discipline can outlast raw firepower. Observers could not resist comparing Itauma's rise to that of past legends. Mike Tyson, Lennox Lewis, and even George Foreman had all faced defining moments early in their careers, fights that taught them who they really were. For Itauma, Parker represented exactly that, a mirror reflecting both his potential and his limits. How he responded to adversity would determine whether he was destined for stardom or simply the spotlight of the moment. The heavyweight division stands at a fascinating crossroads, with Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk holding the top belts and fighters like Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, and Zhilei Zhang still dangerous. The arrival of young blood like Moses Itauma signals the next wave. His generation brings speed, athleticism, and modern training methods. Yet as the Parker fight reminded everyone, boxing remains an art as much as a sport, one where wisdom, courage, and adaptability often decide destiny more than muscle. After the fight, Itauma's demeanor spoke volumes. There was no arrogance, only reflection. He had faced one of the best and learned more in 12 rounds than in all his previous quick victories combined. Every missed punch, every clinch, every counter had taught him something. The experience would shape his evolution, transforming him from a promising puncher into a thinking fighter. Parker, meanwhile, walked away renewed. His victory, or his close fight, depending on perspective, reminded him why he loved the sport. "You never stop learning," he said afterward. "Even after all these years, nights like this make you feel alive again." For Itauma, the journey is far from over. Still barely out of his teens, he carries the hopes of a nation eager for another British heavyweight hero. With every fight, he grows stronger, wiser, and closer to the world title he dreams of. The Parker battle may have been his toughest test yet, but it also proved that he belongs among the best. For Parker, the win extended his second prime. Having already defeated big names and survived wars, he now stands once more in contention for another title shot. The respect he earned by facing both rising stars and established champions has solidified his place among the sport's enduring figures. Their clash also reinvigorated the heavyweight scene itself. Fans love knockouts, but they also love stories, and this fight delivered both. It wasn't merely about violence, it was about spirit. Two generations shared the ring, teaching each other through sweat and courage. For those watching, it was a reminder that boxing's heart still beats strong, that even in an age of social media hype, true competition speaks louder than words. Whether Itauma goes on to win world titles or not, his meeting with Joseph Parker will always stand as the night he stepped fully into the world stage. It was his introduction to true battle, the kind that forges champions. His youth ensures many more chapters to come, and each will be watched with fascination. As for Parker, his story continues to inspire. From a humble upbringing in New Zealand to the top of the heavyweight world and back again, he embodies perseverance. His calm demeanor, respect for opponents, and relentless professionalism make him a role model for any fighter, young or old. When future historians look back on this era, they will see the Itauma-Parker encounter as a pivotal moment, a meeting between past and future. It answered one question, but raised another. How far can Moses Itauma go? Can he one day become the youngest heavyweight champion since Mike Tyson? Or will experience and time demand a longer road? No matter the answer, one truth remains. Boxing at its core is about courage, the willingness to test oneself against the unknown. Itauma dared to face that test early, and in doing so, he earned not just respect but belief. For Parker, the fight added another chapter to a career defined by resilience. He had beaten Wilder, battled Joshua, and now stood against the newest prodigy. Each victory, each struggle, has built a legacy not of dominance, but of character. For Itauma, the legacy is only the beginning, a blank canvas painted with speed, strength, and the promise of greatness. In the end, perhaps the real victory belongs to boxing itself, a sport that forever reinvents itself through battles like this, where generations collide and the torch quietly passes on, not through words but through punches, sweat, and will.